In a galaxy far, far away, there exists a group of fierce and fabulous women who are on a mission to explore the depths of pop culture. They are the Galactic Gals, and they are here to take you on a journey through the cosmos of entertainment. From the latest TV shows and movies to a trip down the Milky Way of nostalgia, they will delve into the worlds of fantasy and imagination, bringing you insights and analysis that are out of this world. So buckle up, cosmonauts, and get ready to blast off with the Galactic Gals Pop Culture Podcast.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to Galactic Gals episode. I have no idea now. I think it's 31 or something. But today we're talking about the 3rd anniversary Doctor Who 60th special, The Giggle. So welcome, everybody. We have a full house today. Right underneath me, I've got Jason. And underneath that is Retro Doc. And then, of course, my co-host, Michelle. And then back again by popular demand, like a geek, Ian.
Hello.
I just want to say right out front that I am neither a fierce nor a fabulous woman, despite what the intro says. And I also want to say that in honor of the Giggle, I'm not wearing any pants for today's.
Oh, well, don't stand up, please.
Not good. Not good.
Oh, mercy.
Oh, Lord. I don't even really have I do have the words, but I'm going to try to not curse.
There's one word really. It's bollocks, isn't it? Let's face it.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
The whole episode wasn't bad, but there's definitely problems. And so we're going to get to that by going around the room. And I don't know, do you guys want to talk about the positive, or you just want to get right straight to the garbage?
Why don't you just let people say what they express their opinion, whether it be good or bad? Just throw it all out there.
Yeah, that sounds good. That sounds good to me. I'm okay with that. If you guys are.
Yep.
Yeah. That's fine.
So let's just get into it, shall we? What did you guys think at the beginning of the episode. Did you like the flashback? Did you at least like that? I did. I thought it was well made.
Because like Russell T was going, have we got this big star going, because they showed a picture of the guy going into the shop and it was someone from Coronation Street. Not what I would consider a big star, for God's sakes. Do you know what I mean? I was expecting Hugh Grant or someone of that caliber. And what do we get? Someone from a bloody soap opera, for God's sakes. Anyway, I liked the beginning and thought it was intriguing. I like that shop. I definitely want to go to that shop. It's got such cool stuff in there. I didn't understand why he had a German accent. For some reason, he had a German accent, and I don't understand it. But it was intriguing. The beginning was intriguing, which introduced Logie, where his name was Bear, created TV. Yeah, I kind of liked the beginning. Started off well. That's me. Anybody else?
Yeah, I liked the beginning. I don't even know the guy that walked. I had no idea who he was. So I'm just thinking it's supposed to be a famous person, but as an American, I'm not going to know because I don't watch any of those shows. But
exactly.
Yeah, I liked the beginning, and the shop was cool. I agree. I would love to hang out in that shop. It's a little creepy though. The dolls are quite creepy, especially if you don't like dolls. But yeah, I did think this was well done, and this I was like, well, maybe everyone's wrong about this episode, but I don't know. What did Gary? What did you think?
No, I thought. I mean, anytime you get puppets and like genre stuff, it's creepy. I don't know why, as you said, he was doing the German accent, but I thought Neil Patrick Harris was overall, great in this setup, and I agree with Ian. It's fine. You just got to kind of watch how it develops, but there was the good amount of menace in this scene.
Started off well.
Yeah, it had a feel of like, okay, this is more like it, This is like Doctor Who of old. It's got some mystery, some intrigue. You got this creepy shop with these really strange dolls, which reminded me of episodes from the Twilight Zone and Chucky, and it had that nice little bit of creep factor. And I didn't know who the guy was either that came in. I'm like, who are you? So it started off well for sure. And I think Neil Patrick Harris, he did really, really well. I enjoyed watching his character. He was the highlight for me, for sure.
I was just thinking the Titanic made it out of port too.
Yeah, it did.
All right, Jason, what did you think?
I thought it was well done. I liked it. I mean, it's Neil. I really didn't know what to expect when Neil Patrick Harris took the role. But I was impressed, right off the bat. I thought I didn't know what to really expect, but I thought it looked good. It seemed visually appealing. I was a little thrown by the fact that the guy that they picked to play the patron in the store, it just seemed to me like he would be kind of I don't know, what's the word I'm looking for? Would that guy have been white in that area? Is it, I guess what I'm asking. I don't know. Maybe they're in an area. Maybe where were they? Where was this set? The UK?
I'm guessing
I didn't know that either.
Yeah.
I couldn't tell. Was it America or was it Britain?
Yeah, I'm not sure, but I think at that time it would. Well, maybe it would have been. I don't know. I just got the feeling like the dude wasn't white, and maybe that was a virtue signal. Maybe it wasn't. It kind of annoyed me a little bit that they have to. He's not like. I don't know. It just seemed like a diversity virtue signal to me, but maybe I'm the outlier here.
Well, if you remember, Neil Patrick Harris, the toy maker, had actually made a racial slur and said that maybe you would enjoy more like sunny climates. So it was obviously he wasn't from, like he was. That wasn't where he was actually.
Well, and they had to have the villains.
Hello.
Anyway, no, not to get sidetracked, but I liked it.
Yeah,
Everyone's silent.
He played great.
I mean, I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know a lot about. I didn't research a lot of the history of the actual person who invented the TV. Was that John Logie Baird? Was that? Did he do all that by himself, or was he doing it under the auspices of, like, the BBC or a company where he was trying to develop that technology?
I think he did it himself.
Okay.
He was trying to break ground, but I doubt if he said this is the beginning of something or this is the first time broadcast. I don't think he said any of that nonsense, but there you go. Yeah.
All right. We're trying to say some good things about this episode, and it's just it's kind of hard, actually.
I do have a few good things. It's like later on, the stuff later on, though, not like this.
Right. Not in the street where the right leaning guy is saying he's paid for the street, right? That's not the scene.
But this scene I thought was really well directed. I like the way the director had a shot with Tennant, and you could see in the background the toy maker dancing all in one shot. I thought that was quite nice. But also, this is, again, it's like a statement from Russell T trying to tell off the people that don't like this era. You think you're right all the time. That's the message that, and I know you can explain it both ways and say it wasn't that and stuff like that. But I think everything done in here was by design. Everything from the woke stuff that people seem to be ignoring to stuff like this. And I don't think it's an accident that this kind of stuff is in there. I think Russell T was definitely having a go at the fans that is against this kind of new era of Doctor Who. That's what I think. Obviously, that's questionable, but it's just my opinion,
The odd thing I thought in this scene, and I didn't notice it until I kind of watched it again, was that, I mean, it's an interesting premise. I mean, you flip on everybody's brain where they think that anything they do or say is automatically right and better than anybody else. I thought, of course, that would lead to chaos. But then I thought the way he illustrates it is a guy who stands in the street and say, well, I can stand anywhere I want to in the street because I paid for my taxes. I thought of all the things you could pick that would really, illustrate how chaotic, that belief would be that everybody's right. I thought that's kind of
It's obviously a statement. It's a statement on what's happening today, and also, again, I think all this is done by design. There's more things that's in this episode that you might have missed that I picked up on, which I didn't obviously say on a live stream because it's not worth saying it because you just get attacked at all sides. But I can say it on this stream, which is the word liberal more liberal on this stream? So I can literally say it here. But, but when we come to it, but I think all of this is done by design. He's definitely having a go at the fans. This guy represents someone that believes they own Doctor Who, and people should, all right. The person that creates Doctor Who should listen to us because we are always right as fans. And I think I didn't
get that, but
I think that's what he was doing.
But
then again, I might be
wrong. Ian. We are right.
Yes.
And the ratings show it. So
that guy represents us because he's not a young guy. He's an old guy, which means old classic Doctor Who fans. Have you not noticed that? If it was a young guy, like in his 20s, it wouldn't make any sense. But they put an older guy and a white guy at that in the street talking this kind of nonsense. And as I said, right, Russell T is not a stupid man. Everything in this episode is done by design, right? Look at it carefully. It's done by design, okay? And it is very, very, very not right, in my opinion.
I considered that point of view, and just to offer maybe a alternate point of view. I mean, here's the thing: that syndrome, that crisis is being experienced by the entire world. So it's not, I mean, I thought the same thing. And then I thought, well, wait a minute, this is affecting everyone. Mm-hmm. So it would be one thing if it was a sect of people. I would tend to agree because I did think that initially. And then I thought, well, yeah, but it's affecting everybody. So it could be an attack on conservative values. But at the same time, if it's affecting everyone, even unit,
No, what I mean is this scene in particular was giving out that message. Yes, further along the line, he was saying that the whole world's affected. But this scene, he said it's really strange how when they showed a clip before the day before this was screened, they showed this clip. Again, it's not by accident. It's all by design. And Russell T, in my opinion, obviously it's just my opinion, and I might be completely wrong about this, but it's one of those gut instincts that I've got that he's doing this by design. He wants to subconsciously tell everybody, screw you, this is where Doctor Who's going. If you don't like it, you can go. That's basically,
and that may be the case. I mean, that could have been his motive. I guess for me, I'm just thinking if that was his motive, he could have done it he could have done a little better targeting, because he's implying, if you look at it within the framework and the context of the entire episode, he's basically implying it applies to everybody, not just the right. So yeah, in this scene, it does appear that way. I agree. When I saw the trailer, I thought, yeah, it seemed pretty clear. But then seeing the context of it, well, but yeah, you could be right. It could be a message, it could be.
They could have shown the bit where he was in unit and saying that it affected the whole world. They could have shown that clip before the day before, but they showed this clip before the day before, which again, as I said, I don't think anything's done by accident when it comes to the people that are sort of like want to spread the message, and I think this is definitely one of them. And then again, I will honestly say that I could be utterly wrong. So
I didn't realize all this at first, but now that guy's my favorite character in the show because he's me.
Yeah.
The thing that about this scene, though, aside from the I guess Ian's point, aside from the point that this could be directed at a political group or an ideology, I think what's interesting about this scene is you have people going crazy, right? There's chaos, and so you can't trust that you're not going to get killed. And here's this guy that David Tennant sees who's about to get demolished, and what does David Tennant do? He just goes and runs and jumps in front of the truck that's about to smear this guy. And I'm thinking, well, what would have stopped the guy from running over David Tennant? Anyway, it was just kind of a plot hole.
But we talked about this last week. I keep saying, and I'll always say this, Doctor Who needs to grow up. Again, I'll give you an example. Last week, they came out the TARDIS, they saw Wilf, and he's talking, then suddenly everybody goes mental. Wouldn't it have made more sense if he came out the TARDIS, Wilf was cowering in the corner, everybody was going mental, and he asked Wilf what was going on, and then Wilf explained. Again, the writing is really stupid. I'll go forward in this episode where the Doctor gets zapped by a laser, yet it went right through him, yet it didn't destroy the floor, didn't hit anyone behind him. It's just stupid things like that really annoys me about the writing.
Yeah, and your point about Wilf is it's right on. And not only was it Wilf, if you look at that clip in the background, everyone's acting normal for a few minutes.
Yeah. And that's, as I said, the writing, they should have someone that go through the script and go, wait a moment, logically, that doesn't make any sense. They should have someone, his name is Mr. Logic, go through the whole script and tell me if these things logically make sense, but there isn't anybody. It's just Russell T, I guess.
They don't want logic. They want ideology right now.
Oh, yeah, that's true too. I don't know, mate. I don't know. Anyway, anybody else?
Anyway, Michelle, what was your thoughts on this scene?
Yeah. Well, now that Ian has said that, I kind of thought that at first too. And as the episode progresses, when you get closer to the end, after things happen and, you got Tennant's doctor staying behind, it's like, my doctor would not stay behind. He would, you can't keep him still. He's got to be out and about moving. It's like, oh, you're old now. You need to rest. We're going to put you in the quiet corner. That was the impression I was getting. And it's basically no, you can't think for yourself anymore. We need to tell you what to do, how to do, when to do. We need to make you like us. No, you don't. No.
What'd you think of this scene?
I like the guy standing up there saying, hey, I kind of feel like him. My taxes pay for this road. This is my road. Therefore, it's mine, It's like what's going on in the world now is exactly what was written in that show. And it's all run by minority mindset trying to take over the majority mindset. And it's never going to fly. You either like it or you don't. And just because I may not like it, you know, you don't have to mistreat me because of it. We're all entitled to our opinions. You know, you're supposed to be able to talk about things and have a friendly spirited debate. But when you go to say, oh, well, I don't like the way this character, this whole show is going, you're immediately labeled, you know, a racist, a homophobe, a transphobe, a whatever. And it's like, you're just being hypocritical now. You know, I mean, you can't have it both ways. But, you know, I think, I don't know anymore, you know.
So, I mean, I think Ian had a great point in that the way that this scene was set up, in that had they gone full on with the situation they set up, the scene would look like more akin to like Mad Max, where everywhere you looked was just utter chaos. Not that it's whatever is close to the screen is that, but then in the background you can see everybody fine and dandy and everything's okay and everything. They should have, yeah.
I know Dan always says to me, people are jumping at shadows, but let me ask you one question, right? The question that it's not occurred to anyone but me and a few other people. The man that's standing between the car and the doctor, why is he not black, Asian, or a man of color? Why is he white and old? Why isn't it a woman standing between the car and the doctor? Why did they choose a man of age and a white Caucasian guy? Sorry, it means the same thing. Sorry, stupid of me. At that's the question. They could have chosen anyone to stand in front of that car, but they. Again, I would say these things are done by design. There is no mistakes here. There are no accidents here, right? Yes, you could say I'm jumping at shadows, but unfortunately, the way I think equals the way they've been treating us. So, you know, the way they've been sticking our shows and telling us to get lost.
I agree with that statement. And like, why did it have to be a white guy? It could have been anybody. Could have been anyone. Yeah. And I wouldn't have thought that if it would have been just a woman, or I wouldn't have. But because just the constant relentless like hatred towards older white men, and especially with those that love Doctor Who and want them to stick to the canon and lore, it just seems like you're right. It seems like they're kind of like, yeah, this is you get on this train or we're gonna just throw you off, and that's kind of how it feels.
Yeah,
you know, get on the train and you know, or just get off. And
again, I would stress, I you know, it's just my opinion. You know, I might be utterly, completely wrong. They might have just wrote this, and he was the only man available, the actor, and they got him and they said, bring him in. It might have been the case, but I suspect it's not, because
how much they love diversity, they never miss an opportunity to cast a diverse person.
I'd be interested in seeing the script, if the script specified anything about that character other than just being a man. Like if the script actually said he's an older white whatever.
I think in the script it has a little box and it says Caucasian old white man with a beard, and then somebody's ticked the box right there, I think.
Yes.
Well, they had to get a bald one too. Like he had to be a bald, nerdy looking, older man, looking about to be in his 50s or 60s.
That's
you know.
Right. Yeah.
But you know, as we'll see, Russell, you know, I put a lot of stock in his ability to write, a good story, and this story in particular, as I'll, you know, as we go along, I'll kind of show you, and you guys may have already, you know, thought the same thing regarding some of the points that I'm going to make. Okay. But Russell is honestly, this is extremely disappointing. So, and I mean in terms of plot holes. So it wouldn't surprise me if you know, given, I mean, the plot of this episode has more holes in a pair of fishnet stockings at a cat clawing contest. It really does. And so it wouldn't surprise me if this was just like another one of those. There could have been something there, but you know, in terms of let's make the dude white. But honestly, given the context, he did a poor job of kind of, you know, if that was his point, he did a poor job of making it.
Well,
in my opinion.
You've just got to look at what happens in the episode, right? I mean, if you think that's far-fetched that they deliberately cast an older man with, graying, and he looks like an old fan of the classic Who. Just look at this scene here, where there was no man that was clever enough to be on the computer to help the Doctor. All of them were women, right? And that's not an accident. That's done by design. Right?
Okay, but the soldiers, the warriors there are white.
Yeah. Sorry? The soldiers are all white.
Yes,
you say?
Most of them.
All right. Did you say all right or all white?
No.
I don't know.
I said white. They're Caucasian.
Yeah, but they weren't in any kind of position of power. They were just
other than holding machine guns.
Yeah, but that was useless, weren't they? When he came into that.
Well,
place.
It came to the toy maker, but they were all useless. Everyone in that room would have been useless, including the women of power.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, the women of power never got, apart from Mel, who got.
They would have been turned into balls, as he did with the one soldier who approached him.
But none of the women got turned into balls, not even the ones helping in the background that wasn't featured. What I'm saying is it's just men. All of this is done by design. I do believe that.
but all I'm saying is the Caucasian dudes who holding the guns are on the good side.
Yeah, they are.
That's all. That's the only point I'm making is that they're not evil. They're not being portrayed as evil. So I don't think they're. Yeah, look, I agree with you on a lot of this stuff. It's just that particular dude standing in the road. I'm not sure. Could be right. May not be. That's who knows. It could be though.
I will say on this scene, and to toss in one of the very few positives I had about this episode, she's not in the picture, but I loved Bonnie Langford in this episode.
Yeah, she was all right.
I thought she was great. I thought that even the little moment, I thought that the Doctor's greeting of her was spot on. I loved that little moment later where he's just standing next to her and he pauses and he looks over at her and he goes, hello. And she goes, hi. I thought that was just fantastic.
Yeah, I actually did think she did a great job. At some point I was thinking, why don't they just push Donna off the helipad and just let her be the companion for the rest of the episode? Because Donna is still annoying the fuck out of me in this one. So
well, I mean, even her explanation of where she was and what had happened.
Yeah, that was great.
Since track, that was so good. But just like the little moments, I just go, bravo, Bonnie. I'm glad that she's getting another chance.
One of the positive things about this is that the Doctor was the Doctor again in this scene. He was the cleverest man in the room. He knew what was going on, and I missed that about the Doctor. And this scene was quite nice. I love it when he told again, what's her name, Kate Stewart, to not fire. And again, she fires. Right? Don't do that. Okay, I'll not listen to you because you're a man. And then people died because of her stupidity, right?
Right.
So, and one person got turned into a ball. So that's
it's like that episode of Star Trek, where that female ensign got turned into the cube.
Yeah. So that's what I'm saying. It's but I like the scene where he was telling everybody, and then he went on about society, how everybody thinks they're right and stuff like that. Everyone thinks they're right, blah, 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 whatever. Obviously, that's another statement to everyone, I guess, that social media, people think they can hide behind social media and think they're right, blah, 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 blah. But the thing I liked about this scene was the Bonnie Langford thing when he was talking to her saying, how did you get back? The bit where he was explaining what was going on, because nobody challenged the Doctor, thank God, in this scene. And he was the Doctor back for a brief moment. And that's about it, really.
The only thing I didn't
this scene is great. Yeah,
I agree. Like in this, because Mel is supposed to be the one who's the computer wizard. I mean, that's her backstory from the classic story. So, why is Donna now taking the point and being like the computer queen when Mel?
It's just as they're just trying to take us back to those episodes where she was talking about how she could type really fast. It was silly. It was stupid. It's like, let's give Donna something to do. I mean, yeah, she figured out the music and stuff like that, but it was kind of like, Mel should have been the one.
Yeah. So that was my big bravo for the episode is Bonnie Langford.
Yeah.
I do like the set though. I like the set. I think it's a nice set.
Yeah, the unit.
I think we've seen it before. Haven't we seen that before though? Like on the game station?
Didn't they have it? It seemed
remember,
like they
remember,
had
one
like
of the,
a
remember,
before.
remember one of the early rumors for this episode when all these absurd fan rumors were flying around that when they showed this exact shot, somebody said that all those puppet heads were basically just like for placement, and it was actually going to turn out to be Matt Smith on that computer screen.
I didn't hear
The
that.
absurd rumors that were going around were
just hopeful, just people being hopeful that we were going to get some sort of multi-doctor story.
I'd just like to say another thing. The reason why the script needs to grow up is they always do things that don't make any sense. So when he's in the street, Unit turns up and says, "Doctor, doctor," and the guy comes out and goes, "We need your help." Then you have the shot where the helicopters are flying and they've got the TARDIS on a line and the doctor's in the helicopter. I'm like, why didn't the guy just say to him, "Find your TARDIS, we'll see you back at the back at Unit"? Why do you have to lift the bloody thing with and put
I said that too. And the other thing is that they're like they did that in the 50th too.
Yes,
didn't
they did. Well,
and so it's they sort of
I
they
think
did
so
it better.
they could have a shot to put in the trailer that looked epic.
But in the 50th, it was an accident, wasn't it? Because they saw the TARDIS and they thought they couldn't see him, so they just because they thought the Doctor was nowhere to be seen, so the TARDIS there. Maybe they thought there was something that in the 50th. That's how they made out. So they clamped it and they pulled it, and he was still in there.
I personally thought that was more entertaining.
Yeah. So, but this version doesn't make any sense because why would you? The TARDIS can dematerialize between time and space. So why would you actually link it to a helicopter and fly it?
And do they really think he's going to run off? Like, well, you know what? It's been fun. It's been real, guys. I'll see you guys later. I'm just going to get out my TARDIS and go. Did they really think
Andy would have liked it better if Donna would have fallen out of the helicopter.
Yeah.
Why did they have to? Why did they have to tell him, like when they approached? Why did they have to tell him like you're under unit control? I didn't get that because he's there to help them. He's not going to run off. It's not like you have to detain him. You know, he's wondering just as much what's going on as they are. I didn't.
Yeah, and also when they did say that, the guy came out with all the shoulder pads on him, which I didn't understand why he was wearing so many, and he said, "We need your help." So I'm like, "What? Well, make up your mind. Am I under arrest or do you want my help? It just didn't make it this
right.
way.
Are you detaining me or are you asking for me to help you? Which
exactly? Yeah, it made no sense to me that scene and also how horrible was it because they didn't have Bernard Cribbins. They had some geezer with a false beard on. Yeah. It was so annoying.
I mean that's unfortunate, but it really stood out. Both this scene and the one at the very end. It stood out to me more the absence because it was clear that
he was gone. Yeah.
But when they carried the TARDIS, obviously it didn't make a lot of sense because they could have gotten the TARDIS. But it was for visual effect. It was because you got basically there's going to be a lot of ignorant viewers who are going to think, oh, okay, that's cool. They carried the.
But that's what I'm saying. It's because they can doesn't mean to say they should. Do you know what I mean? Because,
of course, yeah. It was, but I think it was probably just for visual effect.
Yeah, of course. But it didn't again, right? Logic. It doesn't make any sense. Why would you? Doctor Who suffers from logic flaws all the time. In majority of the story, even when Matt Smith's ones, logic flaws all the way through, and yet people are saying this is really well written. It's like, well, no, because there's certain things that don't make any sense, But
right.
Anyway, whatever.
So, Michelle, what did you think of the unit area? I don't know if you said or not.
It looked a little like the Avenger Tower. Yeah, that's one thing that my number 2 son noticed. He's like, "What the hell, really?" And he was watching. Tower. Yeah, he was watching the end of the show, and he's like shaking his head. He's like, "No." Just
the fact that there's not even any rails around the edge is kind of a safety hazard.
It's a pretty building.
The building was nice, but it just reminded me too much of Avengers. I'm like, can't we think outside the box?
Well, he's trying to copy the Marvel universe, the Who-universe. You know what I mean? It's just ridiculous.
Murray Gold should have had a little bit of the Avengers music there when they're approaching, like dun 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 dun. Yeah.
In this scene with Donna and the Doctor, I actually thought this was pretty cool. This hall of doors.
Yeah.
And but one thing, I mean, I liked the whole game, that the whole section of the episode where there were, they were involved in this game. I thought that was really cool. I mean, of course, there's things I could pick at, I mean, that conversation in the hallway between the Doctor and Donna was just, for me, it sucked because it made the Doctor look really weak. It made the Doctor look like he was just getting neutered, and he needed Donna to give him a pick me up.
Yeah.
It's like, that's just not the Doctor that I've seen. It's not the Doctor I'm familiar with.
Yeah, don't even get me started on the ending bit.
But there were a lot of, I mean, if we stick to just this section, if you go back one shot, Andy, there were a lot of effective things in this. Like, I don't know if you have a picture of it, but the thing about the puppets that Donna encountered, that was creepy.
Yeah, but she wasn't scared, so it kind of diminished.
Yeah,
the
that reminded me of the little angel cherubs in that scene with Rory. Where the little ones are attacking. But you're right, she wasn't scared.
Yeah, so the Doctor goes in and he sees this puppet man and he's very alarmed and he runs out the room. Donna goes in and kicks ass. And I'm like, okay, But also another thing that Dan pulled up yesterday, he says the timeless child has been retconned. The scene with the puppets, that's what he thinks.
No,
I just wanted your views on that. What you think?
Well, first of all, if you see the video, and I don't know if Jason can find it really quick, but there's a video where he's talking about in the scene about how he's made a jigsaw of the Doctor's life history, right?
Yeah.
And so a lot of people and he said taking that, like, certain aspects of the Doctor's history, like the timeless children, or that the Doctor's not half human. It depends on how it could be possible, but because of the toy maker, it may not be possible. So therefore that it's now retconned, which it doesn't mean anything. It means it could be retconned, but it may not be retconned.
So it's not definite then.
No.
Yes, what you're saying. Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's not a definite thing, and even then, that's not good enough for me. I'm sorry, it just isn't. That's a cheap way of saying, well, the Doctor can be anything that you want. It can be any canon. Well, I knew that. I basically said that she wasn't canon this whole time, so I've been doing that. I've got my own headcanon, but now we have permission from RTD to have our own headcanon.
Well,
without further confirmation, there's no way to validate the point of view that this is a retcon. There's just no way to validate that because it wasn't made clear. So I mean, it's possible, but it wasn't made clear
anyway.
Yeah, I think you're right. I mean, he's totally convinced that it has been retconned through this because he made the Master into his gold tooth or something like that. So it's kind of like suggesting that he was in charge of that whole era and he was the puppet master through that whole era.
But it didn't clarify anything.
No,
that could be true, but it didn't really clarify. So without confirmation, you're just your guess is as good as anyone else's.
That's true. Yeah.
Now this scene I actually thought I did enjoy when he was doing the puppet show here, not the one where he's towering over in the last shot, but the one here. I did like the way that he was taunting the Doctor with the story of Amy and then Clara and then Bill. I actually thought that was a well done scene.
You know what? I have a problem with this, right? Was the episode called when Davros was there and he's going, Doctor, you use your companions as weapons. Blah, blah. What episode was that? I can't remember. Anybody remember?
Oh, was that
it's a David Tennant episode.
Journey's End.
Right. I have a whole problem with that scene, right? I think that scene's complete and utter bollocks. Why would the Doctor stand there and let Davros say to him that he used the companions as weapons when it's not the Doctor's fault? Everything that's happened is him trying to save people's lives and trying to save planets and trying to save the universe. And it just so happens that they got into the crossfire. That's no one's fault. That's not even his fault. Yet he was standing there, right, looking guilty. And it's the same thing with this as well. Why doesn't the doctor just stand up and say, "You're talking rubbish, mate"? You know what I mean? You have no idea what any of us has been through. You're an idiot.
Yeah.
He's not even defending himself. And,
well, that exact reason
he didn't defend himself either. And I have a big problem with that. Sorry, mate. Sorry.
No, I was just going to say, I agree with you, Ian. That exact reason is one of the reasons why I don't really like Resurrection of the Daleks that much, because in the scene where Davison confronts Davros rakes him over the coal for much the same stuff, and Davison doesn't, just stands there and takes it.
Yeah.
It's the exact same thing.
I don't understand I've seen every episode of David Tennant, and there's no episode that David Tennant pushed someone in the fire to save his life.
No, they all wanted to be there. They made choices as companions to ride. That's what you ride when you ride with the doctor. That's the chances you take.
So why?
Right? So
why did the doctor feel guilty? Why was the doctor sitting there? He did defend himself a bit, and he said, "Well, they're still alive," or "She's got second. She's living that second of her life."
Right, but you could tell like this really bothered him, and I know that they've had that in the past.
Yeah.
But come on, man, it's like Jason was saying, like this 14. Like I'm glad he was more serious a little bit.
Yeah.
But my God, Jason's right. Like he needs therapy. Like he needs a shrink on staff just so he can come in and like, it's okay, doctor. It's silly. It really is.
Yeah.
John Pertwee wouldn't have taken that shit.
No, he wouldn't.
He would have told him off real quick. So
and they really should have done a better job. When I mean Russell T Davies should have done a better job if this is what he was trying for, to have this, where he's being confronted by all of his, quote unquote sins or failures or whatever. Have that tie into the fact that later on he's so tired and wants to retire and stuff, but none of that was connected.
It appear that the fact that he didn't respond appropriately would indicate this is connected with his being what I consider neutered. His depressive phase. This is the stage of his life when he just can't really defend himself properly. And it just to me, a lot of this felt like, okay, let's just neuter the doctor, make him unable to respond. And, and that's, again, not to beat that dead horse, but yeah, that's what it felt like to me, is just this ties into the whole, neutering the 14.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. Again, I would say this is all done by design, all of it. It's not an accident. It's not bad writing. I think Russell T knew exactly what he was writing, especially when he introduced the new doctor. You can't have a white man pass power over to a black man, because that's not ticking the box when it comes to the BBC and Disney. And all these things are done by design. That again, you can disagree, but I think I'm onto something here. That's what I think.
Yeah. I will say this though, visually, it's some of the best Doctor Who I've seen. Yeah, I mean, honestly, visually, they did a bang up job. It looks really, really good. There's only a couple of scenes where I was like, like the puppet scene where the dudes, the toy makers kind of controlling that guy. The face, obviously, that looked superimposed. It wasn't the best, but it passed. But I liked even Neil Patrick Harris's part when he was kind of, I don't want to say dressing him down, but kind of confronting him with his sins. That scene was done on, really, really well. I like the scene. I just wish the doctor's response had been more appropriate.
This part right here, the scene that we're looking at, though, this was another big problem I had with the episode, is there were no interesting games. You have this omnipotent, godlike toy maker who clearly, as he would put it, he's even more powerful than the White Guardian, the Black Guardian, because he defeated them, if you believe him. So, in the original story, there was a whole slew of simple games and a lot more complicated games. Here, basically, the only games that the toy maker plays in the episode is right here, cutting a deck of cards and playing catch. It's like, for this godlike being to match wits against the doctor, I thought, and later, he gets defeated too easily. I mean, these games didn't require intelligence or wit or guile. It was basically cutting a deck of cards and playing catch. I thought, that's all you're going to do with this character.
But that wasn't chosen by the toy maker.
Well, right, but
this
still,
wasn't,
you want like some kind of game which shows you the level at which the toy maker is playing.
That's the doctor's fault. I mean, he should have picked a more complicated game. The doctor basically said, "Hey,
Actually, it's RTD's fault because he wrote it that way." But you know,
no." But I'm saying in this context of the story, it wouldn't be the toy maker's issue here. This was a game that was selected by the doctor, per the writing.
Well, the thing is, I think the problem might be, which I'm guessing now, definitely guessing now, that they only had Neil Harris. Is that Patrick Neil Harris? Neil Patrick Harris for a certain amount of time, and also the fact that if they wanted to go that deep, the budget maybe didn't support. So basically, they tried to think of the smallest thing they can do linked with the story, and I guess cards and catch ball was the idea that they came up with. I guess because
you know what my take on that was.
He was there for a week or something like that. Sorry, mate. Go ahead. Sorry.
No. I didn't mean to cut you off. I was just going to say, following on that, my take on it was kind of like, there's a lot of new viewers. He's trying to attract a lot of new viewers, despite the fact that there's a lot of references to old stuff. But I think he does want to bring in new viewers. And if you had some big, complicated, complex game, you would. I think that could have something to do with it. I mean, you may be right on.
That's weird.
Silly, but I think it could have something to do with appealing to the lowest common denominator.
Yeah, it's your voice has gone a bit weird.
I will ask Ian, since he's the director, because I'm not sure about how long does an episode like this take to be filmed? Like 2 weeks? 3 weeks?
It depends. It depends on how much visual effects are involved. Usually, I don't know how much an episode, how many days an episode, maybe 2 weeks, sometimes even less. If you've got a studio setup, but I don't know whether that's a studio setup on this, but I would guess it'd be 2 weeks to shoot. As I said, if you fly in someone from the States, especially this guy here, he'd have 4 days tops, 3 days tops, maybe. So they have to kind of shoot all his scenes, so that he can go, or they have to pay him more money.
Okay.
So maybe that's one of the reasons why they picked cards and they picked the cat ball catching thing and stuff like that, and because of the budget as well. I don't know. It's just a guess. I don't know.
So Michelle, what did you think?
I want to ask Michelle though. What did you think of this whole confrontation scene?
I like the hallway scenes. It reminded me of straight out of H.H. Holmes' Nightmare. Whereas you got all these rooms within rooms and everything, and you can be lost in a maze forever. I like that aspect of it. I thought it was pretty good. I don't like seeing the Doctor weak, because to me the Doctor should never appear weak unless it's to catch your enemies off guard. But it's like with this whole particular episode, it's like he had no cojones. I'm like, really? And that was very boring for me. I was expecting him to outwit everything and be, top dog in the room, and he wasn't. And the card game, I was like, that's just weird. Why not something else,
Andy, could you me a favor? Put up John Steed's comment. This struck me as a baseball bat, and I'm glad somebody mentioned it.
To make his comment to Donna about having the balls.
I heard
when
that.
He's tossing the balls, and she stepped in front. The toy maker says, "Oh, I was wondering who had the balls."
Yeah. It is again. I keep saying this. It's all done by design. Russell T knows exactly what he's writing. He's ticking all the boxes for the BBC and whoever is involved in this kind of nonsense, and it's spoiling the actual idea of the story. It's leaving a bad taste in our mouths, definitely, about the way they're going about making Doctor Who, the new Doctor Who. So that's what I'm
guessing he thinks that that's a really subtle way to, subtle jab. It's not.
It's not subtle at all. You can see it. He tried to hide it, but you can see it, can't you? All the things, like when Donna goes in and she takes on those puppets and she kicks its arse, he kicks one, throws one, whatever. Doctor goes into one room and basically he runs out like a scared little child. And it's like, well, that's not right. So
this Doctor needs antidepressants. It's just ridiculous. It's very annoying.
When are we going to get the Stooky Bill Funko? That's what I want to know.
Oh, no thanks. I'll pass. I'll pass. And so we get the let's just say the cringe moment of the night.
Spice Girls.
God.
Why?
I thought Spice Girls were going to turn up. That would have been awesome if they turned up.
that would have been
That
great.
would have been so funny. But they missed the gag there, didn't they? They missed it. But,
Oh man,
yeah.
I this is not me. I don't like any of this stuff. I just don't. I'm
Yeah.
with you, Ian. I think Doctor Who needs to grow up, and this is the kind of thing with RTD that I hate. Where they do these annoying, and they did it with John Sim too, and I hated it.
Yeah.
So for me, this was very cringe.
And with the
I
master,
already know
in
what
Jodie's-
Jason thinks
and
too.
with the master in Jodie's last story.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm curious. Who is this? Who is this for? Who are they making this kind of stuff for? I mean, it's not for people like myself who are casual viewers. It's not. It wouldn't appeal to me, and I don't think many sci-fi fans are waiting with bated breath for a musical section of their latest sci-fi. I mean, what are they going to do this in Discovery and Star Trek Discovery and other sci-fi shows? Like, I mean, if they ever bring back Stargate, by God, can we have a musical section of an episode, for crying out loud?
Oh God, please no.
No.
That the musical episode.
They had Strange New Worlds. Yeah. And it was horrible. It was awful. Terrible. It was so
Who
bad.
wants this stuff?
Who
wants
Go watch Glee.
Yeah.
Go watch Glee if that's what you want to do. And I had to laugh because it reminded me of a video game when the guns would shoot the rose petals out or flower petals. It's some game that one of my sons plays. He's pyro or something, and anytime he's going and killing bad guys or people or whatever, the scene shifts and it's animated, and he's in his mind he's shooting flowers out of his gun, and so that's why I had to laugh at that. But
and what's with this scene with this is one that I didn't get here, and I think Andy's got it on the screen. Did you guys notice, like, I don't remember the character's name, the wheelchair?
Shirley.
She's standing up.
Oh,
Yeah,
Like,
I don't understand that character at all. I noticed that. I didn't get that.
You know, in the script, it's got girl in a wheelchair and there's a box next to it and it's been ticked. So there you go. That explains that, don't it? It's just.
I mean, I'm trying to be, considerate of the actress's, real life disability, but I can't figure out what that is, because I noticed in the first. The Star Beast episode, when she was talking with the doctor, she crossed her legs, and I thought, well, wait a minute, why then? If she has use of her legs like that, then why the wheelchair? I'm just.
I took the liberty of looking that up because I was curious about the same thing. It didn't make any sense, and then I found out that certain people, people in wheelchairs, people who are disabled, they can learn a technique for crossing their legs, and so that made more sense. This whole being able to stand up at your desk, though, that's taking it to a whole different level. Yeah,
it's all bollocks, isn't it?
Oh, there's somebody in the chat says that the actress is disabled but can stand for brief moments. So
I see. That kind of
okay.
I wasn't scoffing. I was legitimately trying to. I just didn't.
The portraying her is disabled. So
also another thing that bothered me as well. Kate Stewart said, "If we don't wear these bands, then we go crazy like the rest of them." Why didn't she just leave it there? Why did she have to take it off and demonstrate? There was no reason for her to do that. Yeah. Is it filling time or something? I don't.
This episode, once again, did Kate Stewart no favors in terms of being an effective commander.
Yeah.
I mean, she's completely ineffective in this, and they've never really ever made her a really strong character. I think in any of her appearances, they really need to work on that if they're going to keep bringing her back.
No, I think she was she's been strong ever since in the Moffat era. The bit where, remember where Bacaldi was telling him.
Oh, right. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
She is quite strong. Yes. She's quite a strong character, but in this episode, it was hardly worth her being in it. She must have been. I guess it's leading up to the spin-off, isn't it? Because they have that robot there called the Them It or whatever it was called. The robot thing in the, what was it called? The Them The or
it was called Blinks.
Mr. Flibble.
That's it. Yeah.
Well, I'm surprised it wasn't they them.
Yeah, but we did have the Bi-Regeneration though, didn't we? Which,
yeah.
Is that a clue there? Well, I don't know.
Yeah, we're down to that now.
Boy.
Okay,
yeah.
my son,
Okay.
my number 2 son saw that because I heard him in the kitchen as I was rewatching that this morning. And I asked him what he thought, and he goes, "Oh, the Doctor's dead to me." And he's not a Doctor Who fan. He just knows of the show because he knows I love it and watch it and everything. And he's like, "What the hell is that about?" I'm like, "Well, if you can tell me, a lot of us want to know." You know, he didn't like it either, and it's like, no. I mean,
This was just ridiculous. This absolutely was. I was just cringing all the way through this nonsense. I was like, oh, he's turned into Eddie Murphy now, is he? Okay. And then
thank you for saying that. Is this guy going to smile the whole way
Yeah.
through freaking Doctor Who?
and then Donna goes, "You come in different colors now." I'm like, oh, for God's sake.
You know what?
Yeah.
Honestly, this reminded me of. Does anybody remember that early '70s movie, Andy? I'm not sure if Mr. Hyde has shown it on the B Movie Showcase. Remember that movie? I think Rosie Greer and Ray Milland. It was the being with 2 heads.
Oh yeah,
from the early '70s.
Yeah.
That's what this was to me. You know, it's
the
like,
woman
oh,
with
come
2
on.
brains. Is it the one? What's it? Is it the woman with 2 brains or something?
No, it's Ray Milland, who's this old white guy, and he has Rosie Greer's head on his shoulder.
Oh, okay.
And it was like an early '70s kind of horror movie or something.
Yeah, it does remind me of something 50s sci-fi cheesy. It does.
They just couldn't get there, could they? They couldn't let a white guy give a black man power. I knew they were going to do something like this. I knew it even before. Even before I saw the episode, I knew they were going to do something with the regeneration that wasn't the norm. Now, David Tennant has to die to produce Shooty, but obviously they couldn't have that for reasons, obviously. And I just cringed all the way. I rolled my eyes when I saw this happening. And then he ran around with no pants on, which is inappropriate to children.
Yeah, no kidding.
And
any excuse to get him in his under.
Yeah, exactly. And I just thought the whole thing was just a big waste of my time. This spoilt it completely.
And it wasn't even explained. I mean, I know later on Russell apparently said, well, 15 is from at some point in the Doctor's future. It doesn't even actually make clear that he would be the next regeneration. It just says, okay, so, this is utter nonsense.
This right here is what is being kind of put out on Twitter.
So
it says, diving into said commentary, we hear Davies explain that when David Tennant and Ncuti Gat was split into 2, a whole timeline Bi-Generated. The writer then suggests
that's baloney.
Yes, each previous regeneration was impacted by the Bi-Generation, and every old Doctor now surviving his demise is a splinter timeline. I think all of the Doctors came back to life with their individual TARDISes, the gift of the toy maker, and they're all out there traveling around in what I'm calling a Doctorverse. He's basically saying,
all right,
because of this Bi-Generation, anything in the past has been changed.
What? Why? Because he says, okay, so I guess it's like whatever he explained. This is why the post-show thing is so critical now for us to watch, because we're actually going to get the explanations not in the actual show, but in his little post-show comments in order to try to make sense of it.
It doesn't make sense.
That's nonsense.
It's dumb. Nonsense. You know what's dumb about it is usually you have a cause and effect, and the effect springs from the cause. The cause in this case is a future event, which would not affect the past. And at least if it did, why would the Bi-Generation affect the past? That doesn't make any sense to me at all. Now, if you want to talk about the toy maker and his jigsaw comment with the Doctor's history, that's one thing. But why would an event happening modern day, current event, affect previous regenerations? And it would make no sense either way,
and
because then you're left with a
situation even happen now.
Well, but again, I mean, let's just give him a little leeway. We can say, okay, like I'm with you. Why would it? Who knows? And it wasn't explained, and yeah, it makes no sense. But let's just humor him. If you think about it, though, what does that lead to? It leads to the bizarre conclusion that all of these Doctors that never died, how did they come to exist? Because their existence is dependent on, conditional upon the Doctor regenerating. Without those regenerations, you don't have separate Doctors.
It's just
so what
stupid.
The hell?
The reason why they
it's stupid for that reason. It's stupid. It doesn't make any sense. That's a major plot hole. What the hell? You can't have independent Doctors flying around in their TARDIS unless they all regenerated.
Yeah.
Because their existence is dependent, it's conditional upon the regeneration. You take that out of the equation, you don't have separate doctors.
Well, one of the reasons why, look, it's just like last week's one, right? The reason why the big red button was in the corridor was because it had to fit into this dumb story. It was fitting into the dumb story, and the story didn't make any sense. Why would you have a big red button, the destruct button in the middle of a corridor? It's stupid. Same thing with this, right? But I think
it's just not a good explanation, man. I mean,
No, it's not.
even if you take the idea, which there's always this idea, I think that idea might work, but it leads to bizarre conclusions, which is, okay, so now how do the previous doctors existed? How do they exist, or how did they come to exist? Well, they were all pi generations at this point. They're all separated.
Bi-Generations, even though we actually physically witnessed each of those regenerations. None of them were like this, obviously. So now
you're missing the point. The point is that the reason why they did this was because they don't want a black man linked with 14 white geezers minus a female geezer. Do you know what I mean? They don't want that.
But how does that happen? Because if we take the theory at face value that all previous doctors were bi-generated, they would all be connected, including this one. This doesn't separate. This doesn't form a disconnection.
It does on a basic level, because now Ncuti and the 14th Doctor exists in a timeline, which means that he technically didn't regenerate into Ncuti. I think
that means, but that would apply to all of them, not just this particular.
No, I totally understand. I'm not even disagreeing with you here. I think it's a stupid reason to get Ncuti away from the white men. Yeah. And that's why I just don't
see how it disconnects him from the lineage.
Yeah,
it doesn't any more than it would the previous doctors.
He's going to regenerate into Ncuti. So even though he may
regenerate into a woman next time round. You never know.
So how's that going to work?
So here's my question. Here's my question: according to this insane theory that he's come up with, so are we supposed to now consider, is the curator in Day of the Doctor, is that a bi-generated fourth Doctor?
It's all rubbish.
I know it's rubbish. I know it's absolutely rubbish.
They didn't want a black man connected to the other white doctors. That's the reason why they did it, and they made up all kinds of excuses to actually tick that box, and they did it, and it doesn't.
But the same type of bi-generation occurred in all cases in this. If you look at the theory, all of these generations would have been the same. So there is no disconnect with this versus the previous. They're all, yes, they're in the same. They're existent, but this is not unlike doctors or episodes where you have multiple doctors existing simultaneously. They all exist together. They regenerate into each other. But this is just another take on the regeneration, which is just dumb. Now, none of these doctors die, because when they get killed, usually they take a fatal regenerate. What happens now? They just become immortal?
I think Jason's caught in a time loop.
Yeah, I think that's too.
Yeah. It's just weird.
Oh, wait a minute. This just in. Big Finish has just announced 25 new box sets featuring bi-generated doctors.
Probably. I'm sure.
I know what Jason's saying, but I think for just these two, they didn't want him to spring from David Tennant. They wanted him.
No, I'm sure.
But he did spring from David Tennant. That's the thing. He did spring from David Tennant.
Yeah,
we see it on screen.
Yeah,
how does that even? I don't understand that. Look, the thing with me is so moving forward, though. Again, how does this explain? What happens to the Doctor when he takes a fatal blow?
Don't know.
Since they're all regenerated. What happens to the Doctor? Would David Tennant continue to live? So if he gets shot in the head or something, what is he going to regenerate? And he's not going to.
He's going to regenerate.
Does he regenerate? So every time they take a fatal blow, are we going to see another Doctor?
Don't know. That's how screwed the Doctor is. Doctor Who's
the Doctor's like a tribble now.
No, Doctor Who's screwed. The stupid ideas they've stuck in this has just made it more complicated, more silly, more stupid, more woke. Let them have it now. That's all I can say. I'm ready to
I
let go
agree,
of
but
this.
Gary hit the nail on the head. It's like they're like tribbles now. If they take a fatal shot, they just pop out another doctor.
That's right.
Or they're like gremlins, get them wet. They just.
But see, you know what? This honestly, to me, is just another way that I think that, I mean, it's clear to me that RTD doesn't have
brain.
He has nothing new to bring to the table. I mean,
No, he hasn't.
He clearly likes leaving. He clearly likes. I mean, to me, this is just a slight variation on the Metacrisis doctor. Because now RTD really likes the idea of leaving extra tenant doctors around to stay with his companions. So he created a Metacrisis one who could go off and stay with Rose, and now, I mean, he can't stop trying to give David Tennant a happy ending. So he creates another one to go off with Rose. Now he's created a circumstance by this one can be happier than he's ever been, or whatever line he has at the end, so he can have a happy family, with Donna. All this is just yet another rehash of new ideas. I haven't seen anything new that he's brought to the table.
Well,
it's simple.
This is how I look at it. Like Michelle was saying. The doctor that I know would never sit still like that. He would never be, and I made this joke, he would never be the gay uncle at the table telling stupid stories and, parking his TARDIS. And I mean, that's what came across to me. So I don't think the doctor would ever do that. The doctor's like, you know what? It's been fun. It's been real. I'm going to go off in my TARDIS and have adventures too. I think he would have done that.
Yeah. Also,
had this not been written by somebody that knows how to write.
The bit that really annoyed me was when the doctor got hugged by Shooty, like some kind of weak man.
Yes,
he had to kiss him on the forehead, and I was just ready to throw something.
Here's the thing: the doctor it's always been an ego battle with his other sides. Why wasn't there that? Right.
That's what I'm saying.
That would have been perfect.
This whole thing is made to usher in the minority of people that like this stuff, and Russell T and Disney and BBC is hoping that they can generate more people that of the same ilk. So that's why they're basically grooming kids, putting stuff like this in kids stuff, which is essentially Doctor Who is a kids show, I guess. But this is all rubbish. It's all nonsense. I'm ready to let go of it now. I'm not happy with Shooty. I think he acted like a gay black guy running around, I think, and it's like, well, it's obvious that he's gay,
And let's talk about the, this is your prize, honey. I mean, could you imagine John Pertwee or William Hartnell or even Peter Capaldi saying something like that?
Yeah. It's just. I think this is so inappropriate for children. And then they showed that clip of him in the at the ending after the credits, where he's in some club and he's wearing a kilt and he's jumping around like some kind of idiot. That's not the Doctor to me.
Right.
This is not the Doctor for me. I mean, God bless people if they like this and they're going to carry on watching. I don't begrudge them if they like that stuff. That's great. But for me personally, I'm sorry, I'm going to let go of it now. I'm going to watch the Christmas special. I know I'm going to be disappointed, and then I'm going to just leave it at that, I think.
And that's how I feel too. I'll watch the Christmas episode and see how it goes, but it doesn't take me like a whole season to assess if I'm going to like a Doctor. I'm pretty quick, right? I understand what good casting is. Some people don't get that, but for me in 18 minutes, I can figure out, is this the Doctor for me? And my answer that I came away with at the end was no. This is not for me. So
before we skip ahead too far, I want to stay focused on, since we're kind of at the events at the end of the episode. I mean, to me, the episode was a mix. There were some, good things mixed in, but it's like when Shooty showed up, that's when it all kind of collapsed into kind of a cartoon for me. And then speaking of cartoons, when he goes and grabs this mallet, kind of like, at this point I was thinking now we're kind of like, I was waiting for Jim Carrey to show up as the Mask, because now he has this big mallet that he goes, it's like, oh, maybe there's more of the toy maker energy around. And it's like, first of all, why would you assume that? Second, why would you know where this magic mallet was? And then he goes out and he hits the TARDIS with a magic mallet and splits it. How? Who knows? Who cares? Because we're at the edge of this great new era. And, supposedly he splits it, but the TARDISes aren't identical because somehow, even though he made a Xerox copy of the TARDIS, it is different because the jukebox is in there. How? Who knows? Who cares at this point? So it just all of these things, which even in the fantasy aspect of the whole thing, Russell T Davies is coming out and saying, well, old fans may not like. He's already giving RTD now is putting out video warnings, saying that you probably won't like the new show, so it's safe to leave. He says, well, it's going to focus more into fantasy. This is kind of where it already is, nosediving into fantasy. And with the goblins in the next episode, it really it's like a kid show in the worst possible way now.
I didn't like his
I didn't understand why he regenerated when he came out of, when he separated from David Tennant. Why in the hell was why did he regenerate with shoes, a shirt, a tie, underwear, but no pants?
No, that's David Tennant's clothes. As he was getting pulled away from David Tennant, that's David Tennant's shirt and tie and shoes. So if you look at it again, David Tennant doesn't have a shirt when they get pulled apart because he's got David Tennant's shoes and shirt. But it's lucky David Tennant was wearing boxers. Otherwise, we'd have to give this an R rating, wouldn't we? if he went commando.
I saw him with the shirt though. Like I saw David Tennant with the shirt.
No, he didn't. He had a t-shirt on. He had a t-shirt on.
He had a t-shirt.
Yeah, he had a t-shirt underneath the shirt. So he still had.
It's a dumb idea. How did the clothes get on him? First off, how did they transition from one to the? It's just magic. It's just dumb. It's just magic. We don't know how.
We still never got the explanation. And even if he wanted to, now, please correct me. So I'm assuming that they said, why did you have his old face? Because he regenerated back into an old face because he realized he wanted to kind of, go home and have a home and live with Donna. I guess that's the only.
What I got it from is like he had an old face because he was old and tired and needed to rest, like he's a geriatric, nursing home patient.
Okay, and that's fine. Again, I'm still trying to apply story logic in a thing which I've characterized as a cartoon fantasy now, so I'm kind of breaking my own rules. But even that wouldn't explain why his clothes regenerated from Jodie too. I mean, we know why, because no self-respecting man would wear Jodie's outfit. But
not until now. Not until now.
Until now, yeah.
So, Michelle, what did you think of shooting?
He was.
Go ahead, Michelle.
Oh gosh, just I liked him better.
He's
with
no
clothes
Peter
on.
Capaldi.
That's right. He's no Peter Capaldi. I don't know, the smiling all the time. I had a hard time with that. I'm like, that's just really creepy. Where's my serious doctor at? Because it was supposed to be maybe lighthearted and gamey and the gaming element, but there was still a serious matter to contend with. And he just kind of off-putting for me, and he may be a great actor. I don't know. I'll watch the Christmas special, I guess, and see how he goes. I hope we get to really see him fall into that role, but I don't know. If there's any singing and dancing.
Supposedly he blew all the other candidates away.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, he may have, literally. Anyway.
Literally.
No, but anyway, listen, there's a scene, you remember the scene where at the end it's Shooty talking to David Tennant's doctor, and he's basically saying, you're thin as a pin, love. You're running on fumes. It's what I keep saying. And then he goes through this long spiel, our whole life. He doesn't say your whole lifetime. He says our whole lifetime. That doctor that first met the toy maker never, ever stopped. Put on trial. I mean, I'm kind of reading the transcript here. Right. Put on trial, heated time, all the devastation of Adric, All the people we, quote unquote, we lost. Sarah Jane has gone. Can you believe that for a second? And then he goes into this whole, what I'm getting at is that you hear that. He's not excluding himself from that. So why would the 14th Doctor be tired, but the 15th wouldn't?
Doesn't he say in there, though, he says that the reason I'm okay is because you actually stopped and you dealt with all of these issues. Doesn't he say something like that?
No, in this episode, I looked that up. What he says is, you're okay. He says, I'm okay. You're okay.
Because you're okay. Because you get okay.
No, he doesn't say because. He doesn't say because. Let me see. Yeah, he says, but you're fine. I'm fine because you fixed yourself. This is straight from the transcript. Yeah, because you fixed yourself. So why in the hell do you need to stop? He says, we're Time Lords. We're doing rehab out of order. And so then Donna chimes in. He's saying you need to stop. Like, well, why the hell would he need to stop? But shoot, he wouldn't.
No way would this, I think Andy said it before, no way would this doctor just retire to domestic bliss. I mean, if Donna's going to work for UNIT, are you telling me that, like, when is Russell T saying that, when Earth gets invaded or is in trouble, he's going to say, you know what, sorry, I got to mow the lawn. I mean, unless they're going to explain why Tennant isn't helping out every time Earth gets in trouble.
Yeah.
Let's face it, it's stupid. The whole of this episode is stupid. They threw logic out the window because they wanted diversity and they wanted to squeeze a man of color into the Doctor's shoes, and they've done that, and obviously didn't give him any trousers for some unknown reason. They didn't want him to regenerate fully as the new Doctor. They gave him a TARDIS that's too bigger than him. This whole era is going to flop big time as far as I'm concerned. And if it doesn't, then that's great for the people who like this kind of thing. But I do not. I hate this. This is not the Doctor. I don't care what anyone says. This is not the Doctor. This man is sadly, badly cast as the Doctor.
I 100% agree. I do.
I think it was 50 minutes or less than that he was on screen.
It was 18 minutes and 36 seconds.
Right. There was never once I was convinced he was the Doctor. His accent is really odd, and his whole demeanor says something completely different to the Doctor that I love. So there you go.
I'm gonna give it another episode, maybe another couple episodes just to see how he settles into the role. I know at this stage he's all teeth and smiles. I kind of want to see what he's like in a serious situation. I tend to think I have an idea of how he's going to be, but I want to be fair and confirm that, and I will be fair about it. I mean, if the guy acts in ways that I think are admirable or that I find entertaining, I'll go with that. As it is, though, I think watching him in the role, honestly, I was a little put off, kind of annoyed with just the constant smiling. I mean, look, like I explained yesterday to someone else, if he were playing a lawyer or playing some other, like maybe a, I don't know, child welfare worker, someone else in another role, it wouldn't bother me. But that's not a trait that I associate with the Doctor. The way he's doing it with his persona, it just comes across as stupid. And I just didn't get a commanding presence on screen. And that's what I really feel like the Doctor needs, is a commanding presence. I didn't feel that from him in any of this. And I felt like he was trying, like, especially at the end when it's him in the TARDIS with, Donna and David Tennant's Doctor. Can you mute your mic? Yeah. Okay. So I just felt like it was, his characteristics didn't really jive in those scenes. And I realized there's like a period where he's got to sort of settle in to his persona as the Doctor. But I just didn't really get that from this. I mean, he's jumping around, catching balls and stuff. This is not something that the Doctor after a regeneration would do. It wouldn't be running around catching balls.
The problem with giving him a chance is that there's always something that's hovering over this new version of Doctor Who. The thing about the message and the agenda. And that's what's going to spoil it for me. It doesn't matter how good an episode is, but if there's an episode that's really good and he ends up kissing a guy, That's just going to spoil it for me. There were some nice moments in this, but because of the agenda and the stupidness that happened in this episode, I paint this episode as crap. You know, so that's what's going to happen going forward. So I don't see me sticking with this, no matter how good the stories are, because there's always the thing that's hovering over it, the agenda, and it's always going to be pushed. And they're not scared of pushing it either. So I don't see how I'm going to stick with this at all, because this is not Doctor Who for me. The Doctor was never about sexuality ever, and that's what I think. So
I don't think RTD has any interest in keeping, old time fans, the established fan base. I think he just wants to make the show a platform for his personal fantasies and his cultural grievances. Not for entertainment. I think he's pandering to an audience that isn't going to show up anyway.
Yeah.
I mean, it's so soaked in identity and gender politics and misandry, as we talked about a couple weeks ago, and, woman power. I think that this new run is definitely going to tarnish his legacy. I don't think it's going to be anywhere near as successful as his first run was. I don't think people, I mean, this was a couple years ago, I think when we were still mired in all this stuff, but now we seem to be slowly working our way out of the morass of this whole, cultural, pit that we've been in, as far, with all the identity, gender politics. And I think even you said it, Ian, on Type 40 at one point. You said this needs a whole brand new vision.
It does.
And people won't come back unless it's clear that there's somebody with a great new, different vision for the show. I remember you saying that.
Look, this is. Have you seen his new sonic screwdriver? Anybody?
Oh yes.
It's
yes.
ugly.
Oh yes. There
Look
you
at
go.
it. It's so bloody ugly that I'm not going to buy that. Why would I buy that as a toy? Because I've got all the rest of them apart from Jodie's one. But why would I buy this? This looks like a mouse for a computer for some reason. It's just stupid, And
do you think maybe that's why they've kind of designed it like this, to be like sellable as merch? I'm being serious.
Yeah, well, I don't know, and I don't care. I would never buy something like this. It's just ridiculously stupid, in my opinion. You want to change Doctor Who, you have to change it in a way that it's still the same Doctor Who, but with new, fresh ideas. This is just stupid.
Apparently, the little message in the middle is a Rwandan saying. I can't remember what it was offhand, but yeah. So there was a video that he was doing that he was kind of showing.
It's like the sharpness of your words blunts the sharpness of their warriors or something.
Oh, for God's
something
sake.
Like that.
Seriously.
Yeah.
It's stupid.
Yeah, it is.
To me, it looks like a perverted sex toy. That's what it looks like to me.
I was waiting for somebody to say it.
Well, that's what it looks like. It's just weird.
I thought it was an epilady.
I'm laughing with you, Michelle.
Shaver,
Yeah.
some sort of like female, like shave your legs with it. Maybe that's
Time
what he's gonna do.
Mechanic has what it means in the chat.
But seriously, though, are we going to do this? Are we going to see a really great episode with Shooty, and we're going to go, that was a good episode. Then next week, we're going to have him kiss someone, a male guy, and then maybe the week after that's going to be a good episode. Then the week after that, we're going to have a trans person that we really hate. And then, I'm not going to go through all this. I don't want to go through all this. I know that's going to happen. So why put myself through this? Doctor Who's dead to me now. It really is.
And I'm not saying this is a joke or for Shocker to be funny. I seriously thought for about 2 seconds that at one point when Shooty and Tennant were facing, I seriously thought like they were going to full on, go for the kiss. I really did.
Yeah, so did I. I was hoping, please don't.
I'm sure he thought about it. I'm sure he did.
Maybe there was a take where they did.
Yeah, maybe that will come out later.
Yeah.
The Gallifreyan says
that'll
Black
be on the
Blu-ray. Yeah, I wouldn't doubt it. I really wouldn't doubt it. Or trans lives matter or something.
None of it makes any sense to me, as Jason explained that the bi thing doesn't make any sense. The stuff that happened in the episodes don't make any sense. David Tennant coming back doesn't make any sense. Why has he got the same face as 15 or whatever the number was? Doesn't make any sense. You know, they still got the thingy childless thing, whether that's called. I know
Timeless
nothing about
Children.
Timeless Children. We still got that in the history of Doctor Who. Doctor Who now has changed, and the whole thing has just been spoiled for me. Sorry.
Elizabeth
Honestly,
in the chat.
I need palate
Elizabeth in the
cleansers,
chat
cleansers.
has an interesting comment.
What's that?
She says, after watching the episode, I was left with the overwhelming wish that Neil Patrick Harris is going to be the new Doctor and act with presence I could really believe in.
You know, I could see that. I really could.
No,
I think that would have been better. But
they should cast someone that's not gay. I'm sorry, I hate to upset people, but everyone that's cast in this episode is either gay or a woman, and I think that's where the bias is standing with Doctor
But I think she's right with the whole get somebody with presence and gravitas.
Yeah.
But I know what Ian's saying as well, and I think and that's what it's going to be like going forward. Forget anybody that's straight ever being able to be in Doctor Who again.
Yeah.
I don't know about Millie Gibson. She might be straight, but she's a woman. So
I've never seen her in anything, but she just
Coronation
seemed in the trailer. And I know it's just like a 30-second trailer, absolutely, but I don't think she was shown off well in that trailer.
Well, I mean, they was trying to show Shooty, weren't they? They were trying to see, showcasing Shooty running on the roof and grabbing onto a ladder, going up to see the elves and dancing,
Smiling.
It's just ridiculous, isn't it? As I said, how can I sit here and watch Doctor Who knowing that these things are going to be popping up in episodes? I can't do it. I just can't do it. I can't.
I'm telling you right now, I can already. The Christmas episode sucks. I don't know if I can keep going. I had to review 2 seasons. Well, definitely 1 full season of Jodie Whittaker's era, and it literally took it out of me, and I just don't know if I can do it. So we'll see. We'll see how it goes.
How can you trust this era though? This new era coming up, you can't trust it, can you? Because they're not even being honest about why David Tennant is back. If one of them had said the reason why David Tennant's back is because the Jodie era failed, then I would have at least some faith in them. But no one's admitting it. So if they can't admit that basic fact, then what are we going to be getting going forward?
And Archer makes a good point. Don't their own rules state that a gay actor can only play a gay character?
Mm-hmm.
Or is that another rule that only goes one way?
I'm in trouble then with Rebecca Gold. So there you go. The actress playing her is not gay. So there you go.
Well, if we talk, we at the very top of the show, we alluded to ratings. I mean, I guess the overnight was 4.62. So that means that in just 2 weeks since the Star Beast, they've lost 500,000 viewers.
Yeah.
In 2 weeks.
Yeah, they have.
And for a regeneration episode that was supposedly going to, launch us into this stunning and brave new Doctor Who era, they lost, 200,000 viewers from last week. And an interesting fact I saw this morning, as far as the Disney numbers go, there's a group called Samba TV, and I guess they're the group that releases the numbers for new shows on Disney Plus after about like the number of households who watched a show like in the first 5 days of release. I guess they do it for all the Disney shows. They haven't released any data for any of the Who specials.
I wonder why. Again,
maybe the ratings are too low.
That. Some people would say, "Oh, Ian, you're jumping at shadows. Oh, Ian, not everything is to do with the agenda. Oh, Ian, blah blah blah." And it's like, well, the evidence is all around you. It's like telling Columbo that this guy didn't kill that fella when Columbo knows. Do you know what I mean? It's like it's so obvious. Everything around us, everything that we've seen so far, this is where it's going. It's not. They're not hiding it either. There was definitely, it was by design that Shooty was running around with no trousers. I'm telling you, that was deliberate. It was deliberate.
Oh yeah, obviously.
Yeah. So there you go.
One prediction that I had made originally when I heard that RTD was coming back, one prediction that I had made that I think is true, has borne out to be true, is that I had predicted he was going to try to create a fusion between this woke ideology and an appeasement of the classic fans. And he tried. It just hasn't worked.
No,
He thinks we'll watch anything. He really does. He really does believe that we will watch anything.
Well, do you think, Jason, though, that RTD really has been making an honest effort to kind of reach out to old fans? I think he's like joyfully kicked them to the curb.
I mean, I think he's deluded in the sense that I think he has made an effort, but he's just miscalculated how loud the message is, how loud it's perceived. I think in his mind, he thinks, oh, this is perfectly subtle stuff we're throwing in here. And some is not so subtle. And I've also expressed to Bluebonnet that, I think a lot of this at this stage, even though I think there was an attempt made originally to appeal to the fans. I mean, he brought back the old logo. There's Murray Gold. There's a lot of signs that there's an attempt being made to maybe reach out. But at the same time, I think it was, what was your question? I'm sorry, what was your question? One more time.
No,
I got sidetracked by my own freaking commentary.
To your comment that RTD has made some kind of a sincere effort to reach out to the fans and not push them away.
Yeah, I just think that I think he did make some effort. To what degree could be argued, but I think it's just a really strongly failed effort, just simply because the messaging is so overt. It's not subtle. I mean, if the messaging had been as subtle as what we got in Star Trek, because Gene Roddenberry did have an ideology of his own. If it had been as subtle as that, very few people, of course, there's people that are going to be looking for, as Ian put it, jumping at shadows. But for the most part, I could have gotten something out of it. If you just left the messaging, at a really subtle level, I mean, there's things in the first episode that I thought were subtle. I could let it slide. But some of this stuff is just way too subtle. And I think, like I said, I think he did try. To what extent could be argued, but I think he did try to make some effort to appease the older fans. But this is just way too much poison to swallow.
I think he bait and switched us again. It was like he was trying to court the old fans, and that was the bait and switch. He did these things with they colorized the Daleks episode. They got the old doctors back in those crappy short little rubbish that should never have been made. And that's the extent to him trying to fool us, saying that, we're going to go forward and it's going to be Doctor Who. And then basically it's a bait and switch. And we have a doctor with no trousers. So, that's where it alluded to. I don't believe there was any effort to try and get the old fans back.
Well, then how do you explain the classic logo? How do you explain
because
the
different?
Hold on, let me just finish my thought. How do you explain the classic logo, the improved music, bringing back people that honestly are from the classic era, making references to the classic era? Yeah. There's a lot there, I think, that was attempted to reach out to classic fans, but when you complement that with a bunch of woke bullshit, what does he expect people? How does he expect people to react?
Because as a filmmaker, you'd rather work with someone you worked with before because the results you're going to get rather than get someone new. So it made sense for him to go back to Murray Gold. It made sense for him to go back to Bad Wolf. So that's one of the reasons why they did go back to the original.
He didn't have to look. He didn't have to bring David Tennant. It's obvious there was an attempt to reach out to the fans by bringing David Tennant back.
Definitely.
It's obvious. I mean, there was no doubt in my mind. He's made this really woeful effort. But it's just flopped. It's just flopped. Whatever attempt he's made, he's just shot himself right in the foot by doing all this overt crap like you talked about in the club, twirling around in what looks like a long skirt.
Yeah. Well, it's a kilt apparently. So
that's an homage. I guess that's an homage to Jamie.
Oh, I don't know.
But you know what? Okay, so if you're a new fan, you don't have you're not familiar with this being a skirt. You're just tuning into it. You're just watching a trailer. This looks like a long skirt. It's not explained that it's a kilt to new viewers. And people seeing this are going to think he's just running around in a gay club, twirling around in a skirt.
Yeah, and that's done by design. Because then if somebody questions it, they say, no, he's wearing a kilt. Do you know what I mean? So it's
of course,
all of this is
all by, no. You're right. It's all by design. I just think he's really bad at trying to sneak stuff in. You're not sneaking anything. It's like blowing a hole through the front door and then acting like you're just gonna walk in, whisper.
Well, as Blue Bonnet said, Kevin, what is it? Who's that fella that did destroyed He-Man? Kevin Smith does, didn't he?
Oh,
Okay, Kevin Smith this, yeah.
Kevin Smith does.
So Andy, what are we gonna rate this?
You know, I think for Neil Patrick Harris, for me, think it gets like a 5.5
Out of
Wow.
10.
10. It gets a 2 for me because because everything at the ending spoilt everything that was in the beginning, or the bits that I liked from this thing, and I will not put up with that nonsense. So it gets a 2, and that's me being generous. So Russell T, you can suck it, man. That's all I can say.
Well, for me, I'm going to quote the great philosopher Biff Tannen, who said, "I hate manure." And a lot of this was just a huge truckload of fertilizer.
It was.
So I'm going to give it, but there were a couple things, as I said, I enjoyed Bonnie Langford. I'll give it, I'm going to give it a 3. What?
He's not doing well.
Wow.
It was
okay. For me, it started off, like on a high note. I'm like, okay, this is more like it, and then slowly started to crash and burn. I did like Neil Patrick Harris in it. I thought he did a stand-up job playing the toy maker. For me, about a 4.
Yeah.
We should do one. If for Neil Patrick Harris, we should give him a rating. Because actually, without Neil Patrick Harris, I'd probably give this a 1.
Yeah.
To be honest, he was the best thing about the episode.
He was.
Did Jason vote yet?
No, Jason.
No, I would say I did like the visuals a lot. I thought that was good. I'm just thinking of like, my rating is really dependent on what I liked about it, because if I just go with what I didn't like, it's going to be a 0. But I think the offset for me was, there's great visuals. I thought Neil Patrick Harris was I don't know. I would say he stole the show, but maybe he didn't steal the show, but he was a very likable figure in it as a villain. Trying to think what else. I think the cinematography, I think they did a good job with the production. But if you look at the plot holes and all that, yeah, I'm going to say I would probably give it around. I'd probably agree with Michelle. It's probably around a 4. And because simply the plot holes, I mean, there's just, that plays into all this, and you can't I'm not going to forgive it just because it's got, it's pretty and it's got Neil Patrick Harris in it. But I think about a 3.5 or 4 would seem appropriate from my perspective.
So did anybody go, Andy, you're the only person who went above a 5?
Only because of the parts that I really liked, I mean, I think that's what I was basing it on. But if you're talking about, if you take Neil Patrick Harris out of it and you take all the good scenes in the store where the door and through the doors and the puppets and stuff, it would probably be a 1. I mean, honestly, Neil Patrick Harris is the only reason why I even liked the episode, to be honest. The scenes are great.
Cast him as the Doctor, shouldn't they?
That's what
made a good Doctor.
Yeah.
I want to just call out a couple of the ratings in the chat. Matthew Pounder rates it a -1 out of 10. I guess, Matthew, maybe one of these days we'll start introducing negative. If we start introducing negatives, it'll be forever. I like Elizabeth's way she broke it down. First 15 minutes, 9. Thereafter, 2. The very end, 0. I kind of agree with that.
I think that's really how that you should really rate it. I mean, but if you're just if you want to be fair, like if you want to
that is being fair. That's not being fair the way she rated it, in my opinion.
All right, so here's the question. Whose hand was it that came and grabbed the master's
Jinx Monsoon.
Jinx, the stupid man.
I think it was
piano
Jinx.
gear.
If they end up making Jinx Monsoon the new master, I'm going to be laughing so hard I'm going to need oxygen.
Oh my God.
And I had commented to Jason yesterday, and I kid you not, he can tell you. I said maestro, master.
Yes,
it just dawned on me yesterday, and I'm just like,
works.
that's what they're gonna do.
Oh,
Does it not?
Oh, brother.
You just destroyed my world, Andy, but
But again,
Oh
the
my
master's
gosh.
the master's supposed to be in the gold too. So how could if that's Jinx Monsoon picking that up, how is that the master, unless the person picking it up is not Jinx Monsoon?
Yeah, but how can the new Doctor create a hammer out of thin air and slap the TARDIS and make 2 TARDIS out of it? So, in other words, the doors are open for lunacy. They can do anything now in Doctor Who, and it doesn't make any sense, and it doesn't matter. So, why would we carry on watching this?
Yeah. So the master grabbed his own tooth.
Yeah. Well, yeah, exactly. Just none of it makes any sense.
And apparently nobody noticed, even though it was on an open air, outdoor thing out, full of unit soldiers. Nobody noticed this Jinx Monsoon coming and stealing the tooth.
I'd bring up laser hits the Doctor, goes right through him. Where is that laser going?
It's so funny.
Where is it going?
That too.
Did it not go? They used that laser to knock out a satellite in space.
No, you know what they should,
right?
You know what they should have done would have been great is they would have done after that scene, they would have done a smash cut downstairs where this unit IT person is at their desk and this laser comes jamming in right through them. That would have been pretty funny.
Well, one of my favorite characters in Doctor Who, and he was only in it once, was Malcolm. He was in the Christmas special, when the bus landed in the deserts. I can't remember what that episode was called. Malcolm was amazing. He was a big fan of the Doctor. He was played by comedian Lee Evans. Lee Evans has been in a lot of movies, and he's very, very British. And why didn't they bring him back? I have no idea.
Under the desk.
Always the interesting characters they never bring back.
He's white. He's a white man.
Oh, of course.
Older than 30.
Of course. Yeah. So,
and he's actually funny. So,
yeah. I would have been behind it if Neil Patrick Harris played the Doctor. I would have been like, you know what, he wouldn't make. After looking at him today, at that episode, I think he would really make a good Doctor. Dear.
I did actually really enjoy the moments. This happened once during the card game and another time, where he shifts from the gleeful self-satisfaction into the dead serious. Like in a second, he can do that shift. And I thought those were kind of effective moments from him.
Yeah.
So, I mean, he's a talented guy.
Somebody said to me, "Oh, do you mind if a American played the Doctor?" And my answer is best man for the job. I don't care where he comes from Australia, best man for the job.
I thought you always said that a Brit has to be.
No, I've never
No, that was me. Remember, I asked him last week. I asked you last week if you'd be fine with it. I kind of tend to think I like tradition. But if he can prove to me, and I think he would probably make a good Doctor, and he does a good accent, a good British accent, so I'll be fine with it, I guess.
Yeah.
Well, guys, it's called out.
Hello.
What's that?
I said it's called acting.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I mean, things have to change, right? But not like this, not the way Russell T's doing it, obviously. But if I was in charge of Doctor Who, I'd throw that out the window. I would go anywhere to get the perfect Doctor, and you'll know it when you see it. When the person comes in and they perform the lines in the script that you've written, you will know that guy is the right guy. It's so obvious that Matt Smith was perfect for the Doctor. Tom Baker, perfect. John Pertwee, perfect. David Tennant, I don't know.
That's how I feel about Matt Smith.
I love Matt Smith. I think Matt Smith was.
I would actually go with. I didn't watch the show that he was on, but I would actually go with one of Andy's preferred choices for the Doctor.
Oh, that's the one we remember. You and I fought on Nerdrotics channel over that one. Tom Ellis.
Oh, Tom Ellis. Yeah, he'd be perfect. Tom Ellis. He's handsome. He's tall. He can perform dangerous, and sadness at the same time. If you look at Lucifer, he's a pretty amazing actor. That's the kind of Doctor that we need. And plus, he talks to the Americans. Americans know who he is. British people know who he is. Perfect. But who do they go for? A man that doesn't like wearing shirts or trousers now. That's what they went for. So what can I say?
And he likes wearing skirts and tutus. So.
Yes.
Honestly, I think they know what. Go ahead, Michelle.
Yeah, I was going to say, because if that was a real kilt, where's the rest of the getup that goes with the kilt?
Yeah,
that
don't ask.
metal belt thing or whatever that's in front, and then you got to wear the socks and
Oh,
the shoes.
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah,
But they
I
did
don't know
that
what it's
deliberately,
called.
though, didn't they, Michelle? They did it deliberately
I
so that you can
guess
question
so.
it. Yeah.
They
Yeah,
want him in
I
a dress.
mean,
I think Mark Milford in the chat has the perfect summary of all of this.
Watching these specials felt like running into an old girlfriend at first, excitement and a rush of happy memories. A few minutes pass, and then you get triggered, recalling instantly why you broke up.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well said, man.
I
Yeah.
just look at that design. It's so wrong. It's so wrong. It looks like a mouse or something. It really does for a computer.
no, it looks like something I'm just not even going to say.
It's a Sunday, so I can't say
right.
what I think it looks like.
Well,
Yeah.
it's better than Jody's, but that's not saying much.
No,
And
it's
also,
not.
I think Shooty's better than Jody, but that's not saying much either.
No.
So, Jody was the worst. I don't think
James
Shooty's
is
going to be
7.
much better.
Look at James 7's comment. I guess
It's
I have
not
to
shaped-
agree.
It's not shaped like any screwdriver. It looks like a sanitary napkin.
Yeah.
It kind of does.
Yeah,
It
it
kind
does.
of does.
Which way's
Yeah.
the front? Anybody know which way's the front? What's the front of it?
They're gonna make this. They're gonna make this like a modem or
left.
something where the front
Left.
hooks into your computer or something.
Probably.
Yeah, if you look at the video where Shooty's handling this,
Yeah.
you'll notice that it's the left side is the front.
Yeah,
Right. Okay. Gotcha.
it's gonna be a big merch thing probably. Or
I
they'll
just-
try.
Oh yeah, they're going to sell a lot of them.
I don't think they're going to sell anything. I tell you the truth. I think this
Yeah,
era
that's going to be a big.
Thank you, Matthew.
Yep,
Yeah.
that's it right there.
That's what I was not trying to say.
That's what I was not trying to say. Gosh.
Oh,
It does
I-
have the shape. It's just
Yeah, it does, doesn't it? But again, was this done deliberately? I don't know.
Well, if the
I don't
shoe
know if you had a
fits.
butt plug in mind with.
Dear, oh dear.
Oh man.
No,
Well,
I
that
agree
can
with
lead
Ian.
us
It
down
does.
a
It does
whole
look like a
different
mouse.
path of speculation.
It does look like a mouse to me. But here's the thing. I think they know perfectly well. I like riding off of Ian's point. They know perfectly well what actors would be suited, what would draw people in. They know that the stuff they're adding is controversial. They're doing it anyway. They don't care. And that's the thing. That's the thing that irritates me is they know perfectly well what would be popular. They're choosing to go out of their way not to give the fans what they want, all for the sake of this ideology. And it occurs to me that they don't really care to some extent how much money they lose, because they're making money in other, there's other revenue sources for these big wig corporations. So in the entertainment industry, I mean, there's tons of money that they're getting from advertising, marketing, all sorts of other ventures that they're involved in. So they know perfectly well what would sell. They're withholding all that for the sake of their ideology. And it's just dumb. It's, and the fans have to suffer, and it's all needlessly for nothing, to appease, I don't know if people know this, but the trans community is less in America. It's less, comprises less than 1% of the population. So to appeal to me, it just seems like you're trying to appease a group of people that represent less than 1% of the total, and you're stepping over the desires of the massive club of people that love this franchise to appease this less than 1% or people that align themselves with that ideology. And it's just dumb all the way around.
Well, Russell said he wants to make this, to indoctrinate children, basically.
Yeah.
To teach them when they're young. So he said that.
Well, honestly, I mean, I hope it doesn't last that long enough to have that effect.
But look, I don't wish any ill feelings to people that like this era and are on board for Shooty, and I hope the show is a success for them. But I'm not going to argue with anyone. But for me, I guess this is the end for me when it comes to Doctor Who. Personally, good luck to them. That's all I can say. Yeah, good luck, farewell, ta-da. That's what I can say.
Yeah.
And I feel like you do. I
Yeah.
think if people like the Sierra, if people like Shooty, and you genuinely like the guy, great. If you like the episodes, great. I don't have a problem with that. The thing that strikes me is that, look, I don't go out of my way to jump into other people's threads, who are celebrating any of their interests. I mean, I'm not going to go in there and try to decimate their happiness. And I just think there needs to be an outlet for people who maybe aren't so happy, who want to express some dissatisfaction. There should be that outlet without getting attacked.
And this is one of
you
them.
don't really, yeah.
I mean, what Ian just said, I resonate with what Ian just said, because after it was over last night, my first thought was, for me, this felt a lot like Endgame. It's a jumping off point.
Yeah. I just think he's trying to copy why would you try and copy the Marvel universe? Why would you want to do that? Concentrate on the Doctor first. Make sure the Doctor works first. Then you can build upon that. Why are you jumping forward when you're trying to fly before you can walk? Do you know what I mean? Again, this is stupidity. I just find it very stupid of the people adding all this woke stuff, alienating real Doctor Who fans that will keep you in bread and pocket money. They'll buy the merchandise, they'll watch the shows, the ratings will go up, and they're going in the other direction. It makes no sense to me, none of it.
I just want a doctor that travels to planets, fights villains and saves the day. That's it. That's all we ever wanted. So, and that's boring to RTD, because he was saying that he wouldn't have come back to Doctor Who unless he can change things.
Well,
he said that in an interview.
Society, doesn't he? He wants to change society. They all want to change society to in line to what they believe is right, which is that it's not right what they're doing as far as I'm concerned.
And John Steed says, I'm holding out for the McGann spinoff. I hope it doesn't happen now.
Yeah, same
I
here.
really hope it doesn't. I was excited, but I'm not excited anymore, because I don't want him touching it. Leave it alone. I'd rather we have the Big Finish we have and the TV movie and everything's fine, because he will ruin the Eighth Doctor if he touches it.
I mean, in many ways, for me, at this point, it just feels like RTD is the same as Chibnall. I mean, put aside the level of their writing competence, but just thinking that you can kind of rewrite the entire history of the show because you're God now, it makes him the same as Chibnall in my mind.
It's not good.
No, but I think we've pretty much said all we can say about this episode this week. I am glad I don't have to talk about it anymore today, and that I can go away watching a nice Christmas movie, or watch some good sci-fi and kind of get this off my mind. We have a Christmas episode coming up. I don't know when the review of that will be. I don't know if it'll be the week of or the week after, but eventually we will do a panel for that as well. Christmas week may be real busy for me, but again, hopefully it will not be a disaster, but it probably will be.
I mean, I will say, Andy, that I'm kind of surprised, because normally when you have a wake, there's lots and lots of food. And we didn't have any food here today, so I was very disappointed.
If I could drink right now, I would have been sauced before I even come on the stream. But I can't right now, so I have to just take this all sober, which is also depressing. But yeah, thanks for everybody for coming on. You're great. Absolutely. As always, Ian, Gary.
Great
Jason,
panel. Thank you so much for letting me be a part of this.
Yeah, and panel. So thank you for suffering with me on this. And we'll be back definitely. And if you guys want to,
and hey, also I just want to mention, I just want to say, look, you guys watching the stream, it would be great if you enjoyed the stream. Give us a thumbs up, give us a like. That would be super, super helpful. And obviously we appreciate all you guys tuning in, and hope you come back next week.
Yeah.
And
hopefully next week
if you enjoyed Ian's views, go on the Rebecca Gold channel for a ton of great content directed by that man down there.
Thank you very much for plugging my channel.
Absolutely. It's great stuff.
Retro Doc, where can they find your YouTube channel?
still in my dreams, but I am on Facebook under RetroDoc. I'm here. You can find me in the Type 40 chat. One of these days, I'll get around to doing a channel.
Yeah, you should. You should.
Thank you.
You know, it'll be fun. We'll
Yes,
come on.
I still think we should do a video of or a video, or recorded video, or even a live video of Stump the Doc, Stump the Doc, where people bring their Doctor Who questions to you and see if they can stump you. And then we could do that. And then actually we could say, and here's where you can find Gary on this channel. So maybe one day we'll do that and just, break the champagne bottle.
I love being here. It's always great fun to be here.
Yeah.
Yeah. What you call it? Yeah, you should look. One of the reasons why you should like this channel is because, and I'll say this again, right? Channels like this, Gary, Drinker, Dave Cullen, they're the only ones that are fighting against this crap, the pop culture stuff. They're the only ones. The media's not doing it. You'll never hear it on the radio or the TV. So that's why you should support channels like this and other channels too, because it is a fight to get what is right in society.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
we don't fight,
definitely.
We get shit. Yeah. Definitely.
Oh yeah, and we'll continue to get it.
Yeah.
And also we have a Galactic Gals forum on Facebook. So it is in the show notes. So check that out too. We're getting some members now. So I just want to kind of build it up. We're a fun group. We don't just talk about Doctor Who. We talk about all kinds of pop culture, all kinds of good, bad, and nostalgic stuff too. And in January, we'll also be having a best of 90s.
Best of 90s coming up.
Cool.
Yeah. So we have some positive things too. I like to kind of mix it up. Lately, it's been kind of like a downer. But maybe next week we'll be back to a regular program.
To Mark Milford's quote about we need a Doctor Who comic show, I would be so on board for that. That's a possibility. That's all I can say right now.
Okay. All right. That's good to know. Well, it's been fun. It's been real. And then see you guys next week. Bye.
Ta-da.